Hi everybody, welcome to today's Kitbash Model Club stream. This is actually the first one we've ever done, so we're very excited today to show you Kitbash Model Club, where we're at. My name is Luke, I'm the community manager on the game. You may know me as Phoenix in the Discord, the guy who doesn't like pineapple on pizza. Yeah, I got a lot of hate for that one, I think. But I'm joined by a very, very special guest. In fact, if he wasn't here, we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for him. So I'm going to let him introduce himself. So take it away, man.
Yeah. Hi, everybody. I'm Felipe. You might know me as Harvester. Um, I'm the lead developer on Kitbash, and yeah, this is our very first live stream in this format. So we'll see how that goes. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah, we're raring to go. Thank you very much for taking your time out of your day. Busy development time as well to answer some community questions. That's exactly what we're here for. We're going to showcase the game as it is today. We're going to do a bit of a tour around Wirraway Island, which is what you can see on screen now. The place where you're going to be spending all of your time building your models and launching them and testing them. It's going to be great. We are going to answer community questions that we asked for on the Discord. So you would have seen a few weeks ago we did ask for questions. We've gathered some to answer today. If your question doesn't get answered, don't worry. We'll be doing more of these in the future, and we'll be answering more questions. And just to let you know, this is pre-recorded. So if you're there in the Steam broadcast section and you're answering questions in the chat, we may not actually see them, but we will jump in there from time to time to respond to them in text format when we can. There's a lot to go through today. Some things
Oh
have
yeah.
changed, so you do know that the name of the game now is now Kitbash Model Club. Just want a quick message out there to the community. We really appreciate the support that you've gave us. We know a lot of you have existed since the Balsa Model Flight Sim days, before we switched over to Kitbash. And just to give a quick update on why we did that. I know we've already talked about this in communications, but the main reason why we've moved over as Kitbash Model Club now is actually it's a really great one. It's an evolution of Balsa Model Flight Sim. So that doesn't disappear. The foundations of the game are still on Balsa, but now we're adding more vehicles to the game. So there's things like boats and cars. And not only that, there's going to be additional model pieces which you can use to create in Kitbash. That's exactly why it's called Kitbash. Brand new models. If you want to fly in boat, go for it. Go do it. Do you want to create a rocket? Go do it. In fact, actually, Felipe has a history of building rockets, and he might be able to give you some tips and tricks in the Discord. So do join us on Discord. It's on Steam. You can see the link in Steam. Ask us questions in there. Come hang out. And when the game launches, we want to see the models that you're creating. All right, so I can see we've already got a pre-built model here ready to go, a plane. So I guess we could use this as a way to do a kind of a quick flyover and tour of Wirraway Island. And let's show the players
Yeah.
what space they've got, what playground they've got.
So yeah, I think you can see that this is probably the most visible change that we've got since the last release, you could say. Um, this may not be a new plane, but it's fast and there's a lot of map to see. So let's get going.
Let's do it. And just a quick word of warning for players who are tuning into the stream, by the way. We are recording from home, so you might hear the odd dog barking in the background, a phone call, or even my tortoise if he wakes up and makes any noise. So apologies for that. We'll try to get rid of them as much as we can. Also, just to keep in mind, the game is still in an early build. You're going to see things that might not actually be in the final version of the game, and you might see some hiccups and glitches every now and then. But yeah, that's part of the development process. You're going to see these things as we get closer to launch. But here we
Yeah.
are flying. I love the kind of like this free look cam. I know you can
Yeah.
also you can change the camera view, right? So players can go into the cockpit if they wanted to and get a
Yeah, can you
first
imagine
person
like
view.
this is what it's like in real life or sea? Like you don't
Yeah,
get other view options. It's insane. I
yeah,
don't know how people manage.
yeah. And then
But
this is
yeah,
like a traditional view. Um,
yeah, this
and
is our third person like exterior view mode. There would be interior view as well if I had an action figure aboard, which I don't, which is fine. Um,
That's a good
explain.
point, though. You can
Oh,
add
it does have
action.
guns.
You can. Well, I was going to ask you. There's a reticle there because you can kind of fire paintballs and things at other players because the game is going to have multiplayer. You're going to be able to fire and fight your mates, your friends in game. But the
Yeah.
action figure thing's a really cool thing because you can add action figures to the like the cockpits or the seats of the vehicles and things that you build. One of them in game, which is my favorite, you'll see him in the workshop on the posters. Is we've got the major, right? Major malfunction.
Yeah.
He's about. We can add him as a an action figure to your vehicles, which is awesome to see. And
You know what?
based,
Let's add him.
the
It's
game.
only right.
Yeah, yeah. Let's do it. Let's get him in there.
Yeah.
Major malfunction. We might run into major mishaps with him on board, but we'll see how it goes. So this is the workshop,
So,
right? So this
oh,
is where
there's
players are going to
already.
go.
Yeah. So this is the model workshop. So you can edit your vehicle from the outside and from the inside. There's a lot that's new here that we're gonna show in a bit, but for now, let's just get major malfunction in, so we can
Yeah,
have a proper.
there he is. The
Yeah.
man himself, the man, the myth, the legend, major malfunction.
Yeah.
Let's hope we have a
Let's
safe
check
flight with them
here.
on
Yeah.
board.
Oh, good. Right. So let's go.
Nice. So yeah, we can launch him back into the sky,
Yeah. Now with
and
him aboard,
there we
we should
go.
be able to
So
do this. Yeah. And now we get to see what he
yeah,
sees.
there we go. First person view through the eyes of major malfunction, a sight to behold. Um, Awesome. So yeah, as we're flying around, let's have a look around the island. There's quite a lot of things that have changed since Balsa days. There's so much
Yeah.
variety in the different scenes that you can now visit, and you build in models. You build a launch from any of the locations in the game, right? So obviously around the Bay Area, you're going to want to be trying a lot of your boats. That
Yeah.
type of thing. Planes, you could just launch from anywhere you want. Cars, obviously, if you want to go up in the mountains and drive your cars around in the mountain areas, you can do that. But you might want a road. It might help. But yeah, just the
It
vast
usually does.
variety of
Yeah.
the vast variety of landscapes in Wirraway is really awesome. It has really expanded, and we're not going to show every single location here today because we don't want to spoil it for you. And we'll show more as we get closer to launch. But yeah, it's just
Yeah, that's
absolutely
true.
massive.
So yeah,
So what?
before just for perspective, like before, the mountain range you could see here were basically the boundaries of the map, right? Like if you went beyond that ridge over there,
Mm,
that's where the map would end, and there would only
right,
be well, you would run out of signal range, and that was it, right? The signal range was configured as the map boundary, and none of
got you.
this existed, like none of these areas. And so in terms of area, the map is now 9 times larger.
That's
So basically,
huge.
imagine like we took the center area of the map, and we added 8 new ones of that around it. So
It
as you can see, there's a lot more map to explore,
Wow,
and
it's
yeah,
incredible.
we've
It's
completely
massive.
redone. Yeah, we completely redone our tooling, our setup for making this sort of thing possible. The way we build the roads, the way we place houses and props and everything. Like we had to rethink all of that because this was done by effectively 2 people when we were doing
Yeah,
the map overhaul. So for 2 people to make a map of this size, we needed some much better tooling than having to place everything by hand. So it's a mixture of procedurally generated and hand placed, hand painted map areas. So hopefully you can tell which is which. That's the idea. Uh, and
yeah.
I am really happy with the end result. I mean, I think we've managed something here that is a remarkable improvement over how it used to look, and
It's
we've
it,
got a lot of new interesting areas to explore.
yeah, it's really impressive, and and the community do know, and for those new joining us as well, it's a very small development team, and like you said, to having starting with it's just there's just 2 people to build what was there beforehand, and to have expanded in the way it has, it's just incredible. I mean, it is huge now. There's a residential area that wasn't there before. It's just so big. So there's going to be loads of spaces for you to kind of build your models and take your models to try them out and launch them, test
Yeah.
drive them, that sort of thing. Now, while we're in the sky, let's answer some of these community questions. So huge thanks to
Okay.
the
Yeah.
community who dropped questions in the Discord for us. We've got some today that we're going to go through. So I'm going to start with a question from, and you must forgive me, community members, if I don't pronounce any of these names properly. I'll try my best. But we've got Damio from Discord, who asks, Felipe, do you ever reach a point with games where it's hard to keep developing them because of the time you spend testing them instead?
Yeah, actually, I would say that's the default. We
Yeah,
definitely reach that point, to the point where actually I need to make a conscious effort myself to play the game as much as possible as a player would, because as a developer, it's really easy. It's really easy to uh, like effectively not see the forest for the trees. You're sitting so close to it that it's really easy to lose sight of the big picture of like what the whole game is versus just looking at bugs and issues and things that you could do better. So it's definitely something I call this developer syndrome. It's something that I think all of us need to make a conscious effort to try to experience the game as much as possible
yeah,
as the players do.
yeah. No, I think it's a great answer. It's one of the big things about, like you said, about development is you have to kind of put your feet in the shoes of players, and just to get an understanding of what their expectations are, how the experience goes for them. And we know, because we see you testing the game all the time. You always give us updates internally about the cool new features you're working on, and especially the fixes that you're doing to make improvements to features and just functionality. And players don't really get to see that. Hopefully, maybe in the future, we'll get to show some kind of behind the scenes videos and things of things being developed. But it is great to see the work and attention to detail into kind of fixing things and actually making things work in such a mechanical, in almost realistic way, right? These models do behave the same way as they would in the real world. So it's awesome to see. And we've got a model aircraft at the moment. I
Yeah.
did have another question which is related to flight, which I think is quite funny. Was from a player called Darklight in Discord, who says,
Yeah.
will we ever have a normal flight where nothing goes wrong? And I can answer that one for you. Felipe, feel free to jump in if you'd like. But yeah, will we ever have a normal flight where if nothing goes wrong? Well, that's totally up to you, right? If you can build a model plane that will last in the sky, then yeah, what would go wrong? But if something does go
Yeah.
wrong, you've got nobody else to blame but yourself.
Well,
It's
I
or
thought it was a weird question in the sense that is that a thing that exists, like a normal flight? Like
yeah,
I thought
yeah.
that
Well,
was like it's like virtual quantum particles, isn't it? Like it's a mathematical construct that we invented to make the maths easier, but it doesn't really happen in real life.
no,
Uh,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah.
it's. I think we shift the blame to this player, Darklight. If anything goes wrong in your flight, it's on you, not on us. If you didn't build the right model plane, if you put major malfunction in there and just so happened that you had a major mishap, then that's your own fault. So yeah,
Pretty
a normal
much. Yeah.
flight's all up to you. Oh, I love that we're in the residential area right now, just to show off some of the
Yeah.
new scenes that players wouldn't have had a chance to visit just
Oh
yet.
yeah, I think this is one of the biggest things that we've never actually showcased it properly, as in giving it a proper highlight. We've got traffic and foot
Yeah,
traffic as well going around the city. So you're sorry, you're no longer the only living thing in the world.
yeah,
As you go by, you can see we've got vehicles, we've got pedestrians. I guess it's a bit hard to call them pedestrians when none of them have any feet, right? But we've got people, running around, and cars, and very much you can crash into them, and worse even if they crash into you, they don't really care. They're much bigger than you, and they will win.
That's very true. And one of the things I love that you just mentioned there was yeah, there's obviously there's traffic, there's pedestrians now, and the pedestrians don't have feet like you said, no legs. And we've made a joke about this online on Twitter recently, which was like, none of them have got legs now because they've evolved to lose them because they kept getting hit in the knees and the shins by models. So they just decided to
That
get rid of
makes
them.
total sense.
Yeah, and any of the shoe shops are in the in some of the locations. They've all closed down because they've got no sales anymore. Which
Pretty
I think is
much.
really funny,
Yeah.
really funny. But yeah. So yeah, we're leaving the residential area. We are again up in the mountainous area. But
Yeah.
we've been flying around in a plane for a while. But players can select from other pre-built models as well, right?
Yeah,
There's
yeah.
a
I just
it's
chose a
not just
plane here
aircraft.
to give you a quick way to see as much as possible. So I chose a little jet.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easy to lose track of the sheer size of the map when you're up high going fast like this. Um,
Yeah,
and that's
absolutely.
really just one of the things now you can do in Kitbash. Before, this was the main focus in the Balsa era. Now, airplanes are just one part of the things you can do. Um, I'm gonna pick something more land worthy.
The mud
This
mog.
is the Mudmog 100. This
Yeah.
is by no means an airplane. This is what you would call an automotive horseless carriage, I believe.
Yeah, yeah, that's a good way to explain it. Should be the description of
Yeah,
any of the land vehicles. There we are.
and we've
Major
got
malfunction still in drive.
yeah. So these types of vehicles they run around on these round things that roll. Um, it's a very traditional invention, and yeah, and the idea is that when you have ground vehicles like this, the idea is that like you can. Whoa, okay, that was close.
Ooh.
Oh, I was using that wheel.
Oh, it's another visit to the insurance company.
Yeah. So we've got a new thing as well. Instead of pulling the vehicle back to you, now we can go to the vehicle ourselves.
Nice,
Uh,
nice.
which, yeah, let's get that repaired.
There we
So
go.
there we go.
Hey, that was quicker than real life, and it wasn't as painful. There wasn't that much money involved
We
on
are
new
in
parts.
sandbox mode. I should point that out.
That's very yes, that
So
is very true. We should have
yeah,
mentioned that at the beginning. Yeah, we can do what we want in sandbox mode. Yeah. So I have a question. So we obviously we've rebranded to Kitbash, and one of the
yeah.
whole things around Kitbashing is that you can add other pieces to models, right? And you just said yourself there that yeah, you can go and pick a pre-made model like a car that we use now. There's nothing to stop you though from adding wings to this, adding the ability to add propellers, adding other model pieces to the. You could add rocket boosters to the car if you wanted it to kind of
Okay, books.
take off almost. I mean, you may not want to do that in the car, but you could do it if you wanted to.
Oh yeah,
Which is
definitely.
yeah,
There's nothing in the game that says this needs to be either a car or a boat or a plane.
yeah,
Um, in fact, the game is perfectly happy with anything in between, and that's the point really. The point is that it's about putting something together that could be any combination. In
yeah.
fact, I have something better that I can show you. Hang on. Let me put
Let's
this
do
guy
it.
away. I have another file. Might not be included in the stock files yet because uh, I don't know why. But just a second. You can't see what I'm doing. I'll be real quick. I promise. Um,
Do he's doing some dev magic behind the scenes. So I guess while you're doing that,
yeah, I'm
I'm
browsing
gonna
for
bring up.
files if you want to know what the magic is.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, while you're doing
Um,
that, I'm gonna just look at the questions that we've got here. I
sure.
do have a third one lined up actually, while we're loading in here. So this is from and I believe it's Levis the Menace on Discord, who asks, "Is there a time frame when existing owners of Balsa will be able to test or play Kit Bash Model Club?" And I can answer that one, not with a certainty, but I can tell you that it's probably sooner than you think. The community has been a huge part of the whole journey of the game since Balsa days, and we know players have been able to play Balsa and give feedback. So we know there's an importance there in play testing, beta testing, that sort of thing. I have nothing to announce right now, no strong dates or anything like that, but we do recognize the importance of that. So, yeah, it may be sooner than you think. I know that's a little bit vague, but once we've got more information to share, we'll be sure to do it on the Discord and on Steam as well as Twitter.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool.
Yeah.
So,
So
what were you
this
getting
is
up to? You were doing some
this is what I
sort
wanted
of.
to show. This
There we go.
is the Omnicle.
Nice.
Is it a car, a boat, or plane? Yes, it is.
There we go. So,
So
it.
this I think is where Kitbash really shines is at the intersection of all of it,
Yeah.
where you
Yeah.
have like this sort of silly contraption where you have a car boat plane thing that can well maybe oh god
Oh well, we did have one. We did have one.
yeah
Oh God.
remember when I had that car boat plane thing um, yeah
Yeah. Yeah. What memories? What memories that lasted
what
5
fond
seconds?
memories we had of that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But this is the beauty of the game, right? Look, if you have a model that you've built and it gets broke and it gets smashed, you can reiterate on that design. You can improve the
oh yeah,
design. You can add new features to the design. It's totally up to you. But yeah, look, this is the magic of Kitbash, right? We've got a car that also flies now. It
and
could be a it
I
could be a
didn't say it
boat.
flew well.
Yeah,
Oh god, yeah,
I can't remember what he says in Toy Story, but is it falling with style? So
let's call it that for now.
yeah, let's call it falling
Yeah,
with style. But the fact is, you can do that. You can make a boat that can fall with style, that so happens to have wings attached to it.
yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Yeah. So, well, I'm just looking down the list of questions because I know we're going to try and get through as many of these as we can today
Hmm.
as well. This one's more like it's not so much of a question, but it's just like a kind of statement or a kind of ask. So this is from Penguin Zero, who simply states, "HUD instruments for first-person view, please." So yeah, I guess the
Right,
question
yes.
there really is, will we see HUD instruments in first-person view? So I guess that could be in a cockpit of a plane.
Yeah, that is something that I would definitely like to add. There's a lot that I would like to add that don't really that doesn't really make the cut for something that we need to add right now for the first release, but we've got an endless supply of ideas and uh, something that I've learned that you would think that a model plane wouldn't have something like cockpit gauges inside because like who's gonna see them,
Yeah.
you would think. I learned to never ask that question again because as it turns out there is such a thing, there always is such a thing as whatever it is you can imagine that exists in real life models of vehicles. It also exists for RC. Retractable landing gears, yes. Deploying multiple stage flaps, yes. Gauges inside the cockpit, yes. People
Yeah.
do that, and in FPV they have like little LCD panels, teeny tiny like LCD or OLED panels, with like a proper like full like primary flight display or something like
Yeah.
that, showing you all of the information that you would see. So I learned to not ask the question of whether or not it should exist or not. Let's put this guy in the water because I am proud of the water. I have to say, it's one of the
This is yeah.
areas where
This
I
is
think the game has improved most dramatically, like visually. And I
yeah.
didn't
It
say the
just
Omnicle was a good boat, I should mention. But it is controllable in the water. I guess you can say that much.
yeah. If it doesn't sink, it's a boat, right? It doesn't matter if
Yeah.
it's not doing it in the best way. If it doesn't sink, it remains a boat. And yeah, I'm glad you mentioned the water because the water is there's well, obviously there's a huge space of water in it's an island. We're surrounded by it. There's a bay, so water
Yeah.
plays a big part, and players can play with boats and create other types of like water vehicles. The you know the possibilities are endless, right? You can create like a barge, a raft, or something that you would like to land on that's in the water.
Very
But yeah,
much, and
visually
not just
you
on
can
the water, but also under it as well.
under it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
which is
don't
which is
remember how this used to look when on the last Balsa release. That's been quite a while ago. But I think that there was really nothing here. If you just went into the
right.
water, you just went under like a plane, which
Got you. Yep.
was kind of lame. Now we've got a proper like full underwater or half water um,
Yeah.
rendering
Yeah.
stack,
Look at
which
that.
I'm
Yeah,
really
and
happy about this.
it is. I think you've done a great job here, and it just goes to show that all these are all the changes that are happening since Balsa days. Balsa doesn't disappear; it's just the foundation work for something that's evolving to give players even
Yeah.
um, more choice. Now, while we're still attempting to sail here, I'm going to move over to another question, and forgive me if I don't say these correct. This is from Sheppel, who says, I'm really hoping for more customization options regarding building parts. So, namely, resizable cockpits and the option to change any building part to a see through material. What can we expect in terms of building part options?
Actually, Finny should mention that we've got a lot of new stuff exactly on that area compared to how it used to be with Balsa. I'm trying to get it out of the water here. I might need some help from the prop. Yeah, there we go.
There we go. Nice.
So yeah, I never said this was a good car or boat or plane. It just happens to be all of them. But so let's head back to the workshop. I guess this is one of those places. Well, it's one of those things that are really worth, I think, showing.
Yep. Oh, absolutely.
Did I park in the right place? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, here we are back at the workshop. Let's pick something new. And so none of this was a thing, right? With Balsa, I think you might remember some of these older parts. These are the cockpits. So these are still here, obviously, but there's a whole new mode, I guess, of constructing vehicles that is based around the idea of bulkheads, and that's basically the notion that you can place something like this. This is an A format bulkhead, and from a bulkhead you can add fuselage sections like this, and this is an adaptive fuselage, and it's adaptive because the moment you place it, nothing very exciting happened there because it just happened to already be an A size fuselage. But what happens if I have something more like this? Then whoa, this is crooked. So no matter how you place it, the adaptive fuselage will adapt. And this is it's a fully procedural adapter section, which is fully customizable, and you also have control over the bulkheads themselves. So as you keep adding more stuff and adding additional bulkheads, few little things here to work out, but as you keep adding more stuff, the bulkhead will follow. And
Which it's incredible, right? This is sort of almost like I like to try doing 3D modeling in my own time, and it's like vertex snapping almost. It's incredible that it confines to the shape of what you've added there is the bulkhead, right? It's just incredible. And
yeah, this is
it really means players aren't limited to just predefined shapes anymore. Like they can literally sculpt out the shape of whatever the vehicle is that they're trying to build, right?
yeah, pretty much. Like the amount of freedom this gives you in design is it's a whole other story, right? Because you're no longer bound to however many parts we have here. You can start off, of course, with something pre-existing, and that's part of the idea. This is part of kit bashing, I think, in its essence, is that you're given something that is already pre-built to some degree, and now it's your job to continue it and do something with that. So all of the attachments now, they are marked so that we know what shape they are. So the adaptive fuselage can always connect them together. So if I wanted to say like from that connect something like let's do motor, I guess. We're gonna need one probably. So this is the small
That is
motor.
true.
So on the smallest one, yeah, that doesn't really look super excellent, but it it makes
But you
sense,
can do
right?
it.
It's something that you
Yeah.
could, and you can also adjust you can adjust the curvature as well and do stuff with
Yeah.
this. So like just by having this, like the amount of stuff you can do now is already like increased so dramatically because you're no longer bound to just the geometries of the meshes that were already in the game. Like you can make your own now, and
We
it's just me
and
playing
it,
around. Like if I knew what I was doing, if I had a proper idea or a plan, uh,
yeah.
this would look even better.
But that's part of the magic is that literally players aren't confined. Like it's build what you want, make it the shape what you want, and make it do what you want. I know the second part of that question from Sheppel there was, would we see is there potential to see like see-through materials to be used in models? So I know obviously cockpits have windows
Hmm.
and that sort of thing, but will there be the
Yeah.
potential for players to add like see-through parts?
Yeah, some parts are see-through in the sense that they have see-through bits on them, but yes, there is such a thing as changing the materials. We're working with that. It's not a fully fleshed out feature just yet. It's something that I hope to continue evolving as we move past release and get into post-release updates, especially. But a few of our parts already have that. Um, Just trying to remember which ones. I'm gonna drop a wheel hub here just for demonstration. This is not sensible in any way. Don't expect this to be a thing, but I know that this skateboard wheel is one such case where we can actually change what it looks like, and you can just like
Awesome.
choose new appearances for it, and we've got. And this for now is just aesthetic, but what I really would like to do, given the opportunity for it, is to have this set up in a way where you can also control like what material something is made out of, and that could potentially change the density of it, how stiff it connects to other, how stiffly it connects to other parts, so how resilient it is to impact, stuff like that. And it would be up to you to decide what materials you want to use as you're building. Now maybe you want to
Yeah.
overbuild something so it's stronger and doesn't break, but then it comes at the cost of being heavier or
Yeah.
bulkier. I'm not sure yet, but or maybe it just sinks to the bottom. That's
Yeah.
also a thing.
So
We've got
so
whole
you
new
really have to think.
volumetric system
Yeah.
for buoyancy. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, you really have to, you know, and we're talking about features today. Some of these things might not end up in the game or in the final version of the game just yet. You know, you're always tinkering and figuring out ways to do cool things, but it's just the sheer, it kind of requires players to really think about the model that they're building, right? What do they want out of this model? What is the compromise? Like, you know, is it not powerful enough to take off? What do we need to do to the structure to make it more comparable to be able to fly and I don't know, I guess sail. Um, but yeah,
Gotcha.
actually, it may be a nice time to take out a boat because I know we took out the our previous attempt of a boat, which you said yourself
Yeah,
was
that failed. So I really wanted to show what a proper boat
yeah,
can do, and I just realized that this one is also not what you would call a proper boat, because it's actually not just a boat; it's a hydrofoil. You can see
right.
it's got
Yeah,
stuff
so
happening
it's
here,
blades.
um,
Yeah,
and the idea with this is that well, it's a hydrofoil boat, right? So it's got these wing-like things on the bottom, and wing-like things, very much like wing-like things on the air, they do wing-like things on the water as well, and they're effectively the same thing. The rudders here that you see on the boat are the same part that you would use for rudders on an airplane, or for I don't know, like spoilers on a race car. Um, the control surfaces work in any fluid, is what I mean.
Yeah.
And the hydrofoil is one of those really cool kind of like hybrid things that happen in between being both a boat and a sort of I wouldn't say an aircraft, but at least a craft that rides on lifting surfaces. Because
like a pocket of
as you
air.
can see,
Yeah,
as
yeah,
it speeds up, it lifts itself out of the water.
yeah.
And something with water is that there's so much drag that the more you can get yourself out of it, the better it will do. Like you can see just how quickly this decelerates once you get the
Put
hull
this
back
back
in
in.
the water. Like
Yeah.
even at full speed, like it struggles if you don't let it rise. Like you're gonna struggle getting it past like 20 kilometers an hour maybe, but if you leave it to so that the hydrophones can do their thing, and it pulls itself out of the water like this, the drag decreases massively, and I've been able to get up to 60 in some cases.
Yeah. Yeah. Really
Yeah, it's not always
nice.
easy, and this doesn't do well in choppy water. And as you can see, as we're heading out of the bay, the waves are getting bigger, and for a
Yeah.
model scale boat, any size of wave is too much of a wave. And you can
Well,
see here
exactly.
as you, yeah.
It's like a tsunami to a model boat. You know, a normal sized wave to a model board is like a tsunami, right? Like,
Yeah,
so
yeah. This is like climbing a hill almost.
yeah, but this is what's great. So you're free to go explore, you know, further afield. You don't have to be stuck into just the Bay Area like you've done here. But yeah, as you venture further out, the elements aren't going to be as kind to you. So you might have to really
Oh
rethink
yeah.
where you're taking the model, or what expectations you want from a model. You could go back to the workshop and make some adjustments to this model to kind of combat this if you wanted to.
Oh yeah,
Which
definitely.
is the beauty of it, yeah. But it's really awesome to see, and again, it just adds to the level of realism to the environments that players are going to be faced with. And it's just amazing to see. And speaking of models, you know, obviously we've talked about boats. We were just in the car recently, but I do have another question for you. From a Robin Doctor 400, which is it's a long name. Um, will microjets be a thing in Kitbash? And will retractable landing gear have more options and customizations than it did in Balsa?
Um, yes, and yes. The first yes is I hope it will be a thing in the future after release. We don't have any jet engines as such yet. We have ducted fans, which are not quite the same, but almost. They look like jets. But we do want to have other engine types, including jets, including a bunch of other stuff as well. Um, and yeah, so that's definitely something that we're planning and we're hoping to do once we get after the first release. I think that that's when we're gonna start seeing like the opportunities to do a lot of these really like cool things that are really like extensions of content instead of foundations, right? Because
Right.
I think I've said this before in earlier releases, but while we're still working behind closed doors, we're working on foundational stuff. We're working on the boring parts because nobody's gonna get excited about the new. Well, this one is not new, but a scoreboard menu, for instance. Like it's very hard to hype something like that, but it has to get work done anyway. So while we're doing closed doors development, like we're focusing on getting as much as possible of the boring stuff out of the way, so that once we move into post release, we can do updates that are only about the fun bits. So want to do jet engines, let's do jet engines. Let's do hovercraft. Let's do drones and helicopters and all of that. Like that's what I would like to be at
Yep.
once we make it past release. Like that's what I would like to be. It's not a promise. That's where I'm hoping we'll eventually get to. But that's the plan, at least. That we're on the first release, we maybe won't have all of these will we have type question features all there yet, but we will have the foundations for them. That's the important thing. So that once we get to it, then adding jets or hovercraft or drones is as simple as just making just that. Instead of having to go back and add support for whatever it needs into the
Right.
foundations of the game, which would be
Yep.
much worse, and it would risk creating new bugs and new like we would have to overhaul like the whole thing, and suddenly what should have been like a 2 week feature turns into 2 months. Like that's what I'm
Yep.
most trying to avoid, I think. Yeah.
Yep. No, and I think that makes sense. It's like you said, if you put the work in beforehand from a structural foundation point of view, it's more easier to implement things in the future. So no, it totally makes sense. And so while we will continue with some more of these community questions, we've got quite a few to get through. While we do that, I guess we can take out another model, a pre-built model, give it a bit of a test drive,
Yeah.
and then why don't we head back after that to the workshop, and maybe we'll build a model from scratch, if we've got
Could
some
be.
time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So yes, next question we've got is from Cosmac on Discord, who says, "Hello, devs. Just wondering what improvements or changes will be made to the scenario editor. I really want to build race courses, missions, etc. Will that also work in multiplayer? You know, so will you be able to play with his friends, I guess, in multiplayer from anything he's created in the scenario editor?" And just a quick one for players who don't know what the scenario editor is. It is what it's it's named. It's an ability for players to create certain scenarios, missions to play out in the game, right? But yeah, I don't know if you can answer that question.
Yeah, actually, funny you should mention that because speaking of race courses, so here is
Nice.
the scenario editor, which, if you've looked at it before, it looks about the same for now, but it's got a lot of new buttons. We've got a lot of new features. We've got parameters, which are like variables. We've got markers and routes, so you can create routes to assign to NPCs. And all of this is so that you can do stuff like this. This is a racing
Nice.
showcase mission I put together just this last week to show the new driving AI for NPCs and stuff. So it basically puts you here. Never mind the placeholder particles. So it sets up like a race situation
Yeah.
for AI only. But as you can see,
Is that a is
I'm
that a
not driving.
lawnmower? Oh my god.
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Did I say it was a car race? It was. I said it was a
A
race,
lawnmower
right?
race.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow.
Ironically, the lawnmower, when it doesn't do that, it's actually very competent. None of them are doing all that well, are they? This guy's
Uh,
doing better. Oh,
yeah,
there
he
we
is.
go.
And this is great because this is not only is the game about you building models, the whole point it's kit bash, build things together, smash things together, make unique models. But the fact is, players can actually curate the missions. Like you've just created a race course in a couple of clicks. So players aren't just they're not just locked to creating a model, but they can create scenarios, they can create missions, which is just mind blown, right? It's not looking good. Oh, there we go. He's been
Yeah,
picked
there we
up
go.
and he's
I
been
wanted to help him out. I
there.
felt bad for
Yeah,
him. Like
you
he's
did.
actually surprisingly good. So this is actually this version we're playing is from a couple of days ago. It doesn't have the very latest like obstacle avoidance for the driving AI. So you still see a lot of things like this, like the guy crashed and doesn't know what to do. We've already sorted this out, so now vehicles have full obstacle avoidance, and if they get stuck, they will unstick themselves, um, and uh, and you don't have to do it for them like this. Oh, he's eager. You gotta give it to him for
He's
enthusiasm, though.
yeah,
Yeah,
you've got to give it to him.
he
But
he won't let up.
So what
So
you could create a race, right, where you could create a race for your friends, you play in the race. Maybe everybody's added certain weapons to the cars or lawnmower, for example,
oh
and
yes.
you could use that to try and take out your friends in the race, right? You could literally create your own kind of kit bash kart racing mini game if you wanted to,
Oh,
which is
completely. Yeah. There's nothing here that says racing restricts weaponry in any way.
yeah,
I mean, you could if you wanted to. If you wanted to drop like a game rules setup, you could
yeah,
just add like a module here and disallow weapons, right? Um,
right.
like this. But where's the fun in that? Let's shoot at the
Yeah.
other racers.
Yeah, exactly. But that's great.
But
And
yeah,
I
so this
think
is yeah, the scenario editor has grown a lot because
yeah,
this is something that I should point out. This is how we make missions as well. Like we don't make missions in any other way than using the same tools that players have access to as well. So if we can do it, players can do it as well. That is the whole idea
nice.
with well, basically all of the modding tools for Kitbash and
Yeah,
also before it, it was that our tools are the content making tools for
yeah.
us and modders. Yeah.
Yeah, which is it's all, but you're essentially giving people the ability to be their own developer within the world, which is fantastic to see, and it just adds to the longevity of the game, right? Especially an indie game where players can get the most out of it because they can keep recreating experiences for themselves and their friends, which I think is a really fantastic thing to see in games. So that's awesome. I'm gonna quickly move over to while you're sprinting towards the workshop there. I do have another question lined up for you. So this is
Okay.
from V Chong. I hope I'm pronouncing that properly. What do you, the dev team, consider to be added to Kitbash now that it's more than planes? I mean, aside from flying through hoops, including races, target practice, and combat,
All right.
do you consider adding other objectives for those RC vehicles?
Yeah. Like we showed here, like the scenario. Well, that was maybe not the best example. We had a racing scenario there, but really, anything is supposed to be possible. That's the idea. If you can come up with an idea for a mission or an objective that you should be able to do, you should be able to do that. That's what I want to see happen. And if we didn't think about it, then maybe somebody will. And we have the tools now that players can also set these things up. So, talking about objectives and what kinds of objectives are we gonna ask of players is almost a bit of a moot question, I think, because really it's about what tools are we giving the game so that more and more stuff becomes possible. The
Yep.
objectives are whatever anybody can come up with, not just us, but the whole community as a whole.
Cool. Cool. And here we've got a new a new vehicle of major
Yeah. So
malfunction
this
here.
is
You can see the major malfunction poster in the background as well because he is a kind of
oh
mini
yeah,
celebrity within the world now.
he is
He's
in
my
stores
favorite
now,
character. Yeah.
according to the poster.
Awesome.
But yeah, so this is
Right.
the Skip Cat hydroplane. This is actually if you lose the pontoons, which I will just for the sake of this demonstration. Um, like this part of it here, it's actually a balsa wood model that I built myself in real life when I was what 13 years
Oh,
old, I think, something like that.
nice.
It didn't have a battery or a motor or crew or anything like that. It was really just this frame of like balsa wood model, like balsa wood sticks glued together, and it looked like this. And it it didn't fly well. It used to be rubber band powered. I think there was a big rubber band through the middle of it that powered the
Got you.
prop.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
propeller, right? Yeah, you would wind it up and
let's
then
see
you
if
would
this is
throw it almost
still
like a glider, right?
usable.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I think this is
nice.
still flyable based on like this still seems balanced. 54 seems reasonable. Um,
Ah, so
so let's give it a
what are
shot.
you showing on the screen there? Was that that's just to show you the balance of the vehicle itself?
Yeah, yeah. I should actually explain what you were looking at there, right? So this is the aerodynamics overlay. It seems a bit much, but once you understand what this is showing you, it's actually pretty. Hopefully, it's pretty intuitive. Uh, if you were to phrase it like an engineer, this is showing you both dynamic and stable and static stability in a single display. It's basically to say it's a graph that shows you how stable your plane is, and it does this by taking by testing the aerodynamics of your plane at all of these like angles of attack, and checking whether or not all of the forces add up to bring the nose back forward or out of forward and flip it upside down. So an unstable vehicle, if you start poking around with this, you can see that things start changing, right? And
Right.
an unstable vehicle would look mostly orange, like it would have a
Got you.
lots of like orange areas, and you can see like this orange side has arrows pointing away from it. So if you see any areas that are orange, these are unstable areas where by itself the plane will want to flip over like this.
Right.
And but there's a second thing that's happening here as well, which is you can see how it just bounced around and converged. You can turn this off. This is the automatic airspeed display. And basically what that's doing is it's scanning all of these possible airspeeds to show you the one airspeed where the plane is not tending towards a nose down or nose up attitude at its neutral. So what this is doing is actually it's finding you the best glide situation with no input given or anything like that.
Yeah.
Like the center of lift indication, you can see how this changes based on airspeed. Like
Yeah.
if you go slower, the plane is trying to lift more from the back, so it's more nose heavy. If you go faster, the center of lift actually changed to the front of the center of mass, so now the nose is pulling up. And that's a good thing. This is what you normally want in a plane, so that if you let that settle, it will automatically balance at the center of mass. So this is a dynamically stable plane in the sense that if you just let it go, it will find its own equilibrium and glide in a stable configuration. So this graph is basically helping you visualize this all in one go. So if none of this mattered at all, and you really just want to know if it's going to be stable or not, you can just look for a specific shape on the graph. If you see something like this kind of heart-shaped curve here, this is good. Like this is a good controllable vehicle. If you have something that's like in the red, obviously, like that's gonna be bad. Like this. Like this is unstable, and you definitely are gonna have trouble controlling something like this. But something like this is also bad because this has no control authority. You can see like the little heart-shaped band here is now very narrow, and you don't have as much authority anymore. As you like if you make this extreme like this, then it gets even worse, right? So then you can see that now that I'm giving it input, like with the ailerons, like this barely moves. So this is like a perfectly stable aircraft isn't really much good as an airplane. It's actually better as a dart. Like that would be a perfectly stable configuration. It's a dart. You have as much control over its flight as an arrow. Yeah. So what you're aiming for is really a blend of stability but also maneuverability. And like, fun fact, this is why in real life fighter jets have fly-by-wire systems, because they sacrifice the inherent stability that the plane has to get more maneuverability out of it. So fighter jets usually are like right around like this area here, like super aggressive, like almost unstable behavior. But here, like, look at how much input you have over the center of lift, right?
Yeah.
And when what you want is to be able to maneuver as quickly as possible. Like everything goes to do that, but the plane is now unstable. So you need something like a computer system to keep it under control. So
Very,
so
it
this graph is
very
showing
cool.
you, hopefully trying to show you all of that um, in a more visual way. Yeah.
And it's a very this seems like a very important tool for people who really want to take take the model building to that next level where they can kind of almost see predictively how the model's going to perform before they go and use it, right?
Yeah.
Which is really awesome to see. And then they can make adjustments like you just did on the fly. Like it's not this isn't a you got to start your model all over again. This is just make some tweaks, get it into a better position where it's going to fly better in this instance.
Oh yeah, this is I
Which is
think the
awesome.
core of the game, right? It's go out, fail, redesign, hopefully not fail as much, uh, go out
Yeah.
again, see what that does, fail a little less progressively until it can no longer be called failure. That's how progress happens. And
Yeah, exactly.
just now
That's
I had a thing
progression.
because this is an older model, right? So we're actually missing a few new parts. This is a CV joint. And now, gone are the days where you had magical connections between the motors and the propellers. Now you actually have to connect them together with proper linkages like this. So
Nice.
now this motor will not spin this propeller if you don't have an axle doing the
Right.
connection. Then this is also how you build drivetrains for cars and boats. We have a full drivetrain set of parts here now with wheel hubs. Some of them have drive nodes and steering. Some of them have none, like this, but they're cheaper. Some of them we have like bearing blocks that can and differentials to split power across. We have transmission units, so you can control the gearing ratio between the engine and whatever it is you're driving. So we've got rockets. So we've got lots and lots of new
Lots of
rockets.
rockets. Well, it wouldn't. Yeah, it's. I mean, that's your staple, right? Rockets. You've got to be in there in some
I think it
capacity.
wouldn't be my
Uh,
game, right, if it didn't have rockets in
yeah,
it.
yeah. It has to have them in it, and everybody will know from, yeah, your previous history in the games industry. Yeah, rockets are a big thing.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, this is amazing. So yeah, we immediately added what we needed to get this vehicle to fly, and we're up in the air.
Yeah.
We're up and ready to go,
And I mean,
which is
there's a big
awesome to
difference
see.
between flying and flying well.
Yes.
And that's usually where the engineering goes. It's towards the flying well part. Um, and there's a lot of tweaks you can do here. Like every little tweak matters. For instance, you
Yep.
can, if you want to really go into the weeds with this, uh, you can do things like you can bias the ailerons so that the wing on the inside of the curve, the turn, is lifting more than the wing on the outside is. Sorry, the wing on the inside is dropping more than the wing on the outside is lifting. And that's
Right.
to counter the effects of adverse yaw, which is what happens when you give like a roll command and all of a sudden the plane yaws to the side like this, like it bobs to the sides. This one doesn't have a lot of rudder authority because, yeah, this rudder is pretty much in the middle of it. That's not how rudders are supposed to work. But you can really get into like the intricacies of model
Yeah.
making if you want to go there. But
Yeah.
hopefully, the idea is that you start off by kit bashing, and then maybe you also
Yeah.
learn some science. But
Nice.
yeah, that second part is
Awesome.
accidental, very much like KSP. Any learning that might have happened while you were playing KSP and this uh, are very much accidental, and that's how it should be. I think that a game that poses itself as educational shouldn't be a lecture in disguise. A real
Mhm.
educational game is a game where you learn about something just because it put you in a situation where learning about it was really, oh god, uh, the only thing you
You
could
make
do
mis
to get better, right? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. You make mistakes, make mistakes, and learn what went wrong, and that's how you learn. That's how you progress, and that's how you learn. So,
Yeah.
no, I think it's a good point to make. And what I'm going to suggest now, as we get closer to wrapping this up, we've got a few more questions just to run through. Um, I know we haven't really built a model right from scratch, so I was thinking maybe we could build something quite
I could do
quick
that. Yeah.
from scratch. Now, I don't know what kind of vehicle you would like to make. It's
It's a
totally
good
up to you. I'll
question.
leave it up to you. We've already seen lawnmowers. We've seen parts for a skateboard. You could build a skateboard if you wanted to. There was skateboard
Yeah.
wheels.
How do
You
I?
could
Yeah.
build
How do I
rockets on
top
that.
the lawnmower? Is the question. I
Yeah.
could build a skateboard. I could.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it.
Let's
Yeah,
do
okay,
that.
let's go for it.
So this is
Let's
one
make
of
a
the new
skateboard.
chassis parts. Most of the new parts are morphable in some way or another. So we have got a lot more support for morphing, blending shapes for parts and stuff like that. So and this is especially important for boats and cars because yeah, we felt that the best way to be able to like create the shapes that you would need to make boats and cars was uh, to have like this level of control where you could actually like tweak stuff like this. Um, so yeah, I should stop talking and get to building because this is not going to build itself.
Well,
Um,
while you're building,
let's go
I'll go
with
through a couple of these
this.
questions. I do have a
Yeah.
question here from I believe it's pronounced Aloniomi or Aloniomni or Omni potentially. Will there be pizza
Skateboard
delivery
skills.
missions where we deliver Hawaiian pizzas to Phoenix's house while he tries to shoot down our planes? Now, I know why they've asked me this question, and this is because I said in the Discord it was a crime to put pineapple on pizza. And so now they want to pay me back by keep putting pineapple on pizzas. And
Well,
what
that's
I would
asking the
say
important
is,
questions.
um, yeah, I would shoot down any of your model planes if you keep putting pineapples on my pizzas. So I've answered that one for you. Yeah, next question, which I actually think this is a great question, and I know you've already talked a little bit about some of your modeling from when you were younger, and this is from Sir John, who asks, "Can you speak about how the game could be a gateway for real RC models? So, what functionality in the game can help those wanting to get into the deep dark world of hobby shops and Arduinos and RF modules?" I think that's a great
Um,
question because you've already
yeah,
talked a
yeah,
little bit about how this is your real world experience is kind of what's got you to this stage where you're making the game about it, right?
very much. I think maybe not everybody knows, but Kitbash is based on a true story. Um, I some years ago I was an adult enough to buy my own first drone, and I went out and got it, and I was really happy about it, and immediately proceeded to crash and lose it. And the thing found it found the only water it could have potentially gone into
Oh no.
in a 2 mile radius and went
Oh.
straight into that. So um, I started doing this project mainly out of my own like fascination for all things RC and model scale, and I think that there's really like coming from that. There's I think it's kind of there's an implicit how could I put it like a there's an implicit drive to learn about these things kind of baked in to like the soul of the game itself. It's a game about making and discovering how things are made by trial and error, and I think that knowledge kind of translates itself. Hopefully, it does. To be honest, I have to attempt that myself in real life as well, to see how much of what I've learned here maps to real life applications. But I think that like things like the theory, at least, are very much something that will communicate, right? And or at the very least, you will learn to not suffer too badly when you lose your vehicles.
It's a very good point. I was
That
going to
might be
say it's
something
a lot
to say.
cheaper to build a model in Kitbash Model Club than it is to do in the real world and lose it.
Yeah.
You could do a lot of learning in the game first and then go out and there's nothing stopping you replicating a real world model that you built in game, right? Nothing really. You
Not
could
really,
get the
yeah.
materials you needed, yeah, and you could just
Gonna go
go
with
for it and
this.
try. Um, which is one of the awesome things. I can
I
see
went
you're
to,
adding extensions here to try and bring
yeah, I
the
wanted to
wheels
give
out
this
of
guy
it.
a wider wheelbase because
Yeah,
that I will need all the help I can get, basically.
yeah.
So yeah,
Um,
this doesn't
so
look
you
right.
can see it's starting to make shape here. We can see it definitely is a skateboard that's being built. I'm very interested to see how you're going to power this to get it to move.
Oh, me
Um,
too.
which is I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out. So I am looking on in awe. While you're continuing to add things to the skateboard, I
Yeah.
do have which will probably be our last question, and then I guess once the skateboard's finished, we'll give that a test drive to end the stream. Oh look, he's adding shapes now to it. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
it
now this is
wouldn't be
from
a skateboard if it
it.
didn't have
Very true. Very true. It needs some shape. Mick
let's see,
Robo,
fall apart.
who
Yeah.
says kit bashing in part brings to mind non-RC models, especially things like Gundams. Is there any chance of having parts, functional or cosmetic, from other model or model adjacent hobbies, such as mecha parts?
Yeah, why not? I mean, uh, they don't necessarily have to be stock. I mean, nothing. Uh, there's nothing that couldn't be modded in. I would say, and like if it's something that adds a lot of like real gameplay value that we would like to see ourselves, we we could definitely add it as well. But funny you should mention it right as I'm placing like these paneling parts here, which like when you say Gundam, yeah, basically, like if you can think about it and if you can make it in the game, you can have it in the game, kind of by definition, right? So
Yeah,
there's nothing that says we won't have something just
yeah,
because it's not included by default. Um,
yeah,
like you can make it happen.
yeah.
Um, like this doesn't really look very skateboardy, but will this
Yeah,
go?
like
There we
there's nothing stopping you. And by the way, it doesn't need to look perfectly like a skateboard because it's already starting to look cooler than an actual skateboard right now. But there's nothing stopping a player. Technically, there's nothing stopping them creating a mech, a mech machine. Technically speaking, they could if they wanted to, if they spent the time and effort and really worked out the mechanics. And obviously they've talked about Gundams there, and Gundams have like big weapons and shields and that sort of thing. But there's a part that you've just placed on the skateboard that almost looks shield like. You could build a
go. Yeah.
shield shape and form that. And there really is, like you said, if it's not there by default, you can make it default because you can make it and build it and keep it in the game. So I think that's pretty cool. And who knows what additional model parts might be added in the future? We just don't know at this stage.
Yeah.
Once the game's launched as well, who knows what we'll see. And one of the great things that is that there's going to be Steam Workshop support, right? So players are going to be able to create
Oh yeah,
models and
definitely.
put them on there. And if somebody makes that mech and puts it on the workshop, and you don't want to put the work in to build that thing, you'll be able to download it and just have the model.
Oh
Who
yeah.
knows what the future will bring? And look, I can already start to see. By the way, this is Felipe's I guess choice of power to get
Oh,
this
was it
thing
supposed
moving.
to be? Was it not supposed to be a motor powered
No, no, no.
skateboard?
It can be. It can. Yeah. It needs to be able to move.
Yeah.
But
So
I mean, it's this
I'm
is
setting
this
up
is more
like
than
a
a
the drivetrain here for it. So
yeah.
we'll connect the motor to this four-way differential, so that way
Look at
we
the
can
size of
have.
the battery.
The idea here is that we have two outputs that we can use to link power down to these wheels here, which for some reason are not giving me the power input port. The ones in the front are, which is interesting. So let me just try and plugging these back in. Well, yeah, early development build, right? So
Yes, we
there's
are going to see these type of
bit of
things.
that still, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not entirely sure if symmetry is fully working yet on this. It should have been, but if it's not, you can always just. Now it does, yeah. Okay, so let's clean this out. Yeah. So symmetry on. Yes. Now we have two of them, and we can
Nice.
place the other one as well. Hopefully. No, it didn't. feel like it, I guess.
Maybe it's science. It's like, that quote which is like scientists kept asking if they should, but never stopped to think should they do it.
Yeah.
Look at the size of the motor and battery on this skateboard. It's just huge.
All right, this part is not symmetrical with that one for some reason. This is why it didn't connect. So okay, now we have them connected. So
Nice.
okay, so we still have an output here. So this is the thing with powertrains, and this is part of why we went through the effort of making sure that we don't allow anymore for you to have magical connections like we were able to before. Also, you can hit tab now to cycle through multiple potential surface mounting points, which is useful. Like if you want
Nice.
to surface mount something, like from the bottom, but it's the bottom only when it's on its side like this. Now you can. So you can see like the fuel is connected to the motor, even if you don't see the hose. But the drivetrain, it's also connected in the same way, but it only connects if you're using a proper like a drivetrain connection system. So like I could use maybe this I guess angle block here, or maybe a pair of them to divert the power. I guess
Right.
Using a bunch of CV joints like this to route it like from the motor to the back, because oh, I should have mentioned this is going to be a four-wheel drive skateboard.
Yeah, just add that extra element of crazy to it. I love it. I love
Hey,
it.
why not? Yeah.
As I don't think I've ever seen a four-wheel drive skateboard ever. This might be the first time it's ever been done. Who knows? We
There's
might
got to
end
be a
up in the.
first
We
time
might
for
end up.
everything.
Yeah, we might be in the Guinness Book of Records after this stream, man. You don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, that'd be fun.
Oh,
And basically, yeah, the idea is that for building. Oh, this is a simple bearing block. Oh, this will work actually for what we need. It just goes here, and then like we can plug this one into here, and this one here, and now we've got what? Yeah, sorry. Oh, this. Oh, it connected to this other thing. No, I wasn't ready for that yet. Right, so there. Now we can. Now we've got two of them, one on each side.
nice.
And we can connect like so. Yes. Now it's four-wheel drive because we've got
Yes.
a drive shaft that goes all the way from the back and brings
Oh,
power
look.
to the front wheels. And assuming that the motor is set up, yeah, it's set up for throttle right now, which we don't want in a car. We want it to respond to accelerator. And well, ideally also brakes, right? I hear that or maybe reverse. If you wanted to go backwards, we can do it like that. Maybe not as much
Yeah.
as. There's a speed clutch option. It's a centrifugal clutch that allows the motor to keep running even if the motors stop, because back driving is a thing.
Right.
Um, so yeah.
Yeah, for anybody who might not see that on in the view box on the stream, it's not sure if this is still a skateboard. Is the name of the model. I don't know if we can answer that question without test driving it. So I guess if
Steering
it
is
moves, I'm
up.
classing it as. Hey, look, yeah, steering's
We'll
working.
see
Yeah,
what happens, right?
yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. Here we go.
There we go.
Moment of truth.
Yeah, the engine's running.
Yeah.
And I personally love this. You can see that the engine is running. I don't know
Yeah,
if
you can see it shaking, right? Yeah, you can see the movement. Yeah.
Now, and it, yeah, there we go.
Look at
wow.
that.
This is actually surprisingly
Look at
worthy
that.
as a car. It hasn't flipped over yet. You know what? I might keep this.
Tesla move aside. There's a new contender now. Wow.
Actually, don't be surprised if you end up seeing something that looks a lot like this in a future release, because I surprised myself just now.
I think it's amazing. I can't believe we've created a motorized skateboard
that is doing 60 kilometers an hour.
Wow. I know what I'm taking to my
the
first
CV
race.
joint.
Oh no.
Something isn't getting driven anymore. Yeah, that back wheel there. Oh, that's
Yeah,
not
you can
good.
see.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
now always turning. There's a non-optional amount of left steering now.
So look, the first race that we ever do, it's going to be a mechanized skateboard. There's going to be a lawnmower in there, as well as all of the traditional stuff like normal cars and boats and planes and that sort of thing. But it just this is exact. It's a perfect example of what Kitbash means. We've
Yeah,
just in the space of what 5-10 minutes designed basically a motorized skateboard, which seems
pretty
to be doing
much.
pretty good. Yeah.
I'm
Um,
surprised, to be honest. I did not expect it to go this well.
but that's
We only
awesome.
lost one part so far. It's got to be a new record.
Yeah, I think that's a really great note to end the stream on. I think we've done that was super successful, more successful than I thought was going to happen while watching it being built. But yeah, awesome. I think that's great. Thank you everybody who's tuned in to watch. Thanks Felipe for taking the time to kind of show us Kit Bash what it's about, answering some of the community questions. Thank you to the community for sending us your questions. If we didn't get yours answered today, we'll do it in a future stream. And just a couple of quick things just to go over. Remember to follow us on Twitter. So we're at KitBashMC. So follow us on there for news and updates. Make sure to join us on the Discord as well, where you can ask things, ask your questions. You can talk with developers directly. You can talk with myself if you so wish to. You may not want to talk to me. I'm not as interested in these guys, but yeah, join the Discord. It's on the Steam store page. And if you like what you see, please wishlist the game. Add it to your wish list so you're notified when there's game updates, the game comes out, that sort of thing. That really helps the devs out. It's a massive support for us. So yeah, wishlist if you like what you see, and just a big thank you for all of the support that you've shown us so far. And yeah, I don't know if you've got anything you want to end on, Felipe. Is there anything you'd like to say to the community before we end?
Um, well, first thing, I should thank everybody in the community for sticking with us this far. It's been a really long journey to get to this point, but uh, I'm feeling happier about this than I've ever been. I think that the game has come along like in massive strides, and I'm just thankful to everybody who's stuck with us all along. There's people who've been in the community with us since the very early days, and they're still there. Um, and yeah, it's been a crazy ride, and I'm very thankful for all of you guys who have joined me in it. And hopefully, it will only get crazier.
Hope, yeah.
Yeah.
What words to end on? Hopefully, it will only get crazier. Yeah, one can hope. No, thank you again for hanging out with us today, and thanks everybody. And stay tuned. We'll let you know once there's going to be a new stream. And we did hint to it earlier in the stream. Stay tuned for a potential playtest as well. Nothing to announce right now, but soon. So yeah, thanks everybody. We'll see you next time.
Yeah.
Bye.
See you later.